Welcome back to Hot Rod Guy Garage, and this is going to be another episode on Project Freetro. So stick with me through the intro, and I'll be back. And alright guys, through this past week, I've been trying to put in some work on Project Freetro. The plan is to get it running this weekend. I don't know if it's going to happen, but we know the car runs. When I say running, I mean running and driving. So this video is going to be pretty much me hashing through these last little things. We'll just see where we get. Maybe we can get some data this weekend. So if anybody remembers where we left off, I'd got a jack shaft so I could order some axles. If anybody is curious about doing the 1.3 swap in a manual into the older body style Metro, the GA Swift axles will work as long as you got that jack shaft. So I got Freetro's slicks mounted back up. Going to have to do something with the fender flare here because now the car sits a lot lower for the added weight. But I've been working this morning on making a new exhaust for Freetro. So I'm going to call this one a M80 because it's going to be super loud. And it's going to be a bumper exit with a bullhorn. Just didn't feel like adding all the exhaust all the way back in the car and adding that rearward weight. We need all the front weight we can get. So let's work along and see where we get. And it'd also be a good time to remind all my Geo folks that to keep these Geo videos coming, I need you to like these videos, comment down below, and hit that subscribe button. Because that's what keeps this stuff on YouTube's algorithm and makes these videos worth doing. Well, we've got our little pipe bolted up on there. And if anybody's curious, it just comes off the manifold. Made a little muffler down there. And a bullhorn. So, this is pretty much what it's going to look like. I still got to add a hanger. But let's see what it sounds like. So definitely a lot quieter than what I anticipated. So my little homemade muffler did quieten it down quite a bit. At least it's got a somewhat deeper sound to it. So now I got to dig around here and find a hanger that I can actually mount on it up here, and we can move on to our next order of business that we need to address. Well, I found the exhaust hanger. Just took it out of the package. It's almost too nice to put on Freetro, but let's see if we can get it on the car. And just like that, we got our hanger on there. So we're good and secured. Not going to have to worry about that. So our next order of business is I've got a tire clearance issue, and we're going to have to address that. Don't really look like it, but since the motor's heavier, this gap closed up. I went in here and I tried to reform this lip and end up warping the fender all to pieces. So our next best solution is going to be I'm just going to go ahead and cut this fender right here, and we'll see if one of these flares I got up here will fit. So it's always tough trying to stuff a big tire in the front of one of these cars, especially a M&H tire like this 22. Well, I think this is actually a 23. I can't remember. But either way, these slicks are very tight on a Metro body. So, thought it said somewhere on it, on this side. I guess it was on the other side. It's a 23 by 7.5, 15. On a, an 8-inch wheel. So, very, very tight quarters in a Geo Metro. Just popping in to say, don't skip this video, guys. There is data in the video. I did make some passes in Freetro, so stick around with me. Yep, don't mind me. I'm just destroying my, my one-of-a-kind fenders that I spent a bunch of time making. On a side note, anybody else hate these quick release I'm cutting it with a jigsaw. That's a quick release with a metal blade. For anybody curious. Does anybody hate those quick releases on these things? They're garbage. I like 20-something-year-old Black & Decker one that was actually great, and you'd run it until the blade broke. No matter what you run it through. This thing, it'll pop off at any time. I got that wheel well cut out. It needs a little hammer and dolly work around the lip, but it's kind of just roughed in there. May wait to see if I can get those flares on there. Big thing is, I just need to make sure this tire does not rub anywhere when it's turned. Considering the car, is what it is. It's supposed to be a fun project. It's not meant to be a nice project. So, sticking with that theme, I may just leave it like that. So that's the whole point of Freetro, guys. It's supposed to be a fun project. It's supposed to be fun for me, fun for you. Maybe you learn something from it. And, it doesn't stress me out trying to make it perfect. So, got this wheel well cut. Yeah, it's rough, but it'll work. Big thing is, I don't want the tire to hit it. I don't want to cut my $600 slicks up. So, got to do the other side. That's going to be the challenging part, is matching your first cut with your second one. So, let's see if we can get it done. And anybody curious how I'm getting my cut lines, I'm just running a piece of electrical tape around and dusting some spray can primer over it. I go up there and I just follow that line all the way around. And yes, I know it's not round and straight. It is what it is. Sometimes stuff's just meant to be fun, and that's what this car is. So let me get this cut out, just like I did on the other side. We can go from there. Well, been working along. I got this side over here roughed in too. So not gonna have no tire clearance issues. Motor runs. So what does that lead to finish up Project Freetro? Well, quite a bit of stuff actually. I got a wired fuel pump the rest of the way in. I just kind of got the wires twisted together and taped up there temporarily. Got to mount the steering wheel. And the big thing is, I got to get the taillights back in the car. Now keep in mind, I put a whole OBD2 harness in it, and the OBD2 taillight sockets will not twist into the OBD1 housings. So I'm going to either have to change each individual socket, or I'm going to have to repin the old school taillight housing harness, which is probably what we'll do. But other than that, Freetro's almost ready to go back on the road. So let's keep plugging away and see where we get. Alright, for anybody interested in OBD2 versus OBD1 harness here, if you look at them, they're pinned exactly the same. It's just then the connectors is different and the pins are in a different orientation. This is OBD2, this is OBD1. So it looks like it might be as simple as me just unpinning this and repinning it in this connector. Alright, I'm to the point of putting the taillights in it now. They do work. So, you ever had a rusty screw like this that's hard to get screwed in? You may be tempted to put anti-seize on it, but what I found is this stuff right here, this thread and post offered by Steel Camel, right here, you see their website right there and their phone number. This stuff right here is great for stuff like that. And electrical connections and battery terminals and all kinds of other stuff. And unlike regular anti-seize, it don't get all over your hands. So, gonna put some on these screws, get these taillights bolted back in, and then Freetro will almost be a complete car again. Well, I got the taillights in and filler panel. So, coming along pretty good there. Pretty happy about it. Need to get all this stuff cleaned out of the inside of the car and put up. And, all the stuff on top of the car. And one important thing that I had forgot about was I got to put the hood latch in it. Can't drive this thing without that. So, I need to dig it out and find it. And we'll see where we get from there. But other than dealing with that fuel pump wiring, and the hood light. I should just have to put a little fluid in the transmission, clean the car out a little bit, and we should be able to get this thing out of the garage tomorrow. So it's real easy to forget to do stuff like that when projects take so long. And I'm no exception. I kind of lost heart in it because the videos kind of underperformed. Nothing against it, but you know, I like the little cars for what they are. And my whole objective with Geo stuff was fun stuff. And I like to drive them, you know, like Swift. So the good thing is Freetro's almost back alive. That'll really spunk me up on the Geo stuff for a little while. Because all my other projects are rolling tire fires, it seems. Still can't get away building me a converter, which I've got some phone calls to make. It's really hard for me to call somebody during business hours because I'm working at the shop myself. And being a one-man show, it's hard to break away for 30 minutes or an hour to talk on the phone about a converter. Which is why I sent the spec sheets out to begin with on them. So, got a bunch of stuff to do. Little time to do it because Freetro's my backup car for No Name Nationals. If all else fails, Freetro's going. So, you know, we got a lot of power to add because stock 1.3 just ain't gonna cut it. But we need to get some data from that swap first. Well, it's the next day, so let's get this thing out of the garage and get a few loose ends tidied up, get it cleaned up a little bit so I can see out the windows, and, you know, see if we can get some data today. And I figured at least some might be confused of why I said I need to clean the car up before I, you know, go out and try to get some numbers. So I'll show you. So no matter how, you know, much something that sits inside, it's still, I know it's probably hard to pick up on camera, but this thing is dirty. Like very dirty. To the point where, see this right here? Yeah. That's what you need to do to keep seeing these Geo videos. And comment down below. But just an example, that's how dirty the whole car is. You literally can't see out the windows once it's out here in the sun. So I'm gonna give this thing a quick bath. I'm gonna degrease the bottom half of the motor, just from where the motor swap is done. That way I can see if it's leaking anything, and you know, just generally make things cleaner. But Freetro is out of the garage, and that is the first sign of promise of life here. So hopefully we can go out today, get some numbers, drive around a little bit, let the computer learn, and get some good data for this stock 1.3 swapped into a lightweight MK2 body. So let's see what happens. Well, I'd like to say there was some happy news in this whole thing, and there is, but it'll be a little later on. But as you see, Freetro's back in the garage, and it's back in the garage because I seen something that alarmed the snot out of me. Now this is probably my fault, where it has an air bridge delete. You can see it's held on with 2 bolts. My air cleaner. Well, when I got back from making my passes, I'll drop that data here a little later in the video, I opened the hood and noticed the air cleaner was, you know, loose. Well, when I noticed it was loose, I noticed there was a bolt missing. Now, you have chances where it's 50%, it fell out and, you know, went under the car and everything's great and you continue driving on your way. Or there's a chance that it gets in your motor and, you know, you end up tearing something down and try to find it. Fortunately, I have found it. And fortunately, it's still in the intake. So I'm going to flip it around. I'm going to show you my bore scope. And I'll show you where this bolt's at. You can see it, little filler, laying right in there. And that bolt is in this intake right here, right at the head flange. So I'm going to try to stick a magnet down in there and retrieve this dude out of there. And then I can put the plugs back in it, and the wires that pulled themselves apart. All the ends pulled out, all the plug wires. So these weren't that old. Yeah, and then I can put the throttle body back on it, and I'll be back with some happy news. And this is one of those things that nobody ever wants to do, guys. Make sure you Loctite any bolts like that. Like I said, that is 100% my fault and a rookie mistake. I probably should have checked all that stuff. But what I come up with, this is a bunch of rare earth magnets and a piece of solder. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to wrap this with a little electrical tape, and I'm going to fish it down right beside my camera. So let's hope this does the thing. I know where it's at, so maybe I can get it out. There it is. Got the bolt out. So, I tell you, I'm really glad that didn't go down the cylinder, because that might have been just enough to end this whole series. Because I took apart a perfectly good running driving car in order to bring Freetro back to life so I could bring y'all some videos. I would have hated for it to end that way. But a piece of solder, a little electrical tape, and a stack of Harbor Freight rare earth magnets, got it out. So sometimes when you lose your magnets, you have to think outside the box and make something that's flexible. Well, Freetro's back alive. Disaster avoided. Can't ask for no better outcome than that. So, I'm relieved. So, we'll get into some of those ET differences between the motor when it was in Barney and automatic, and swapping in the Freetro. There's a 439 geared 5-speed and weighs about 500 pounds lighter than Barney does. What do you think the ET difference is going to be? Comment down below. Let me know. And while you're thinking and commenting down below, and hitting that like button, and subscribing if you haven't, I'm going to let you see some of the in-car footage I took out doing some testing. So stick with it through that. So guys, I literally beat the snot out of this thing. First time out of the garage, you see how it was drove. That's how this car's drove all the time. When this drivetrain was in Barney, keep in mind it was mated to a automatic transmission. Now it's made to a 439 final drive 5-speed. Other than that, the only thing that's changed is the exhaust itself. That was just for simplicity. But other than that, this motor's bone stock, including the timing. I did port the throttle body, but it really don't gain all that much, guys. So in Barney, this motor went a 1227 at 57.34 miles an hour. And in Freetro, it ran a 1037 at 64.63 mile an hour. That's a 1.89 second gain from doing nothing but putting in a little lighter car with a straight shift. Now, I've been preaching about this the whole time with these cars. Automatic transmissions suck a ton of power out of no matter what is behind. And this is absolutely no exception. There's about a 500 to 600 pound weight difference between Freetro and Barney also, and that is some of our gain also. But overall, for a first trip out of the garage and some test passes in the weather that is 96 degrees with a density altitude of like 3,600 foot, I will take those gains. So I got a few little things to finish sorting out. Like I said, it is mega rich, and most of that is because of my fuel system. I have a fuel system in this car that will support 500 plus horsepower. Unfortunately, the TBI can't bypass all that fuel pressure, so we got to increase fuel pressure to the TBI unit, which is what's making it fat. It's literally pulling the max amount of fuel that it can, according to the data. It being OBD2, I can use my torque app and I can see all that stuff. So, pretty impressive, I think. I may try putting it on E85 and see if we can't run it on E85 with the factory tune. Considering it is so rich, adding 30% more fuel demand might actually lean it out to where it's normal. So if it does, it's going to pick up even more. So I fully expect in the coming weeks for this thing to pick up big. Once it's sorted out naturally aspirated, we will start doing mods to the 4-cylinder. So let me know what you think down below, and if you want to continue seeing this kind of content. I've said it several times throughout this video. You Geo guys, you Suzuki guys, you need to comment on these videos, like them, and hit that subscribe button, because that's what's going to keep these videos coming. Because YouTube hides this stuff on their algorithm, and it gets hidden. You don't get to see it, even though it's there. All the videos in this album don't get shared out because somebody won't take a moment to hit that like button, comment, or hit that subscribe button. So if you want to keep seeing more of this stuff, guys, hit those things. And until then, I'll see you at the next video. Thanks for watching. Freetro is back and 100%.